Good morning, friends. This is your personal wake-up call from Ron Burgundy. Hey, lazy, wake up!
Good morning, everyone, and welcome inside OUA Today. I am your host, Marshall Ferguson, and I promise I do not sit atop a throne full of lies. I am here by myself today. I am all alone. Amanda is off in Australia having a wonderful time. Saw some pictures from her the other day. And Scott Hasty is somewhere taking pictures of dogs. I think he posted about 10 over the weekend. But my co-hosts are not here, so I'm in by myself. Excited to be here. It was a fun weekend. I was actually in Montreal all of last week covering the CIS East-West Bowl. We're going to have lots of football talk today. We're going to have all sorts of things to go through. I'll let you know how to listen to us first. Go to tunein.com, search CFMU 93.3. You can also subscribe to us now on iTunes.
All the cool kids are doing it after all. And you want to be cool, don't you? I mean, come on, don't you?
Thank you very much, the voice of NBA Jam.
Boom, shakalaka.
No, not you, Tom Brady.
Boom, shakalaka!
What's going on with Tom Brady? I went to Montreal. I'm completely out of the loop. I'm covering amateur sports. And then I come back and everyone's like, oh, Brady's going to get suspended for the full year. Really? That happened quick. American media jumping on a topic, making it a big deal. I don't know. Maybe I'm not appreciating what he did to the footballs enough, but I'm pretty sure it's not suspension worthy unless you're really violating the ethics of the game. I don't know. It's open for discussion. Let us know. You can reach out and talk to me on Twitter throughout the show at OUA Today and at Marsh2Fergs as well. Amanda's Twitter handle is at WeldonAmanda, and Scott One Hasty is also a human being. Coming up over the next hour or so, we will talk about All-Star Baseball, All-Star Basketball, All-Star Football. Bit of a trend developing here after the OUA season completes. All the All-Stars get together. The CFL Draft, as I said, we'll talk with Ottawa GG Ettore Lattanzio at around 9:15. We're going to talk a little bit about bubble soccer in a second. The cost of chicken, skill testing questions. We're going to talk with the BLG Men's Award winner, the CIS Most Valuable Male Athlete in the entire country is Ross Proudfoot from the Guelph Gryphons, a runner and a guy who had an exceptional career at Guelph. The OUA actually swept. I don't know if people were aware of this. We actually swept the BLG Awards for the most valuable athletes in the entire CIS. It's pretty amazing stuff considering the competition that they were up against. It was Carissa Williams, women's basketball from Windsor, winning for the women's BLG award, and Ross winning for the men. I was in Toronto a couple of years ago when Kyle Quinlan, who was the quarterback here at McMaster, of course, won the BLG award as the men's most valuable athlete in the entire CIS, and it was pretty amazing that, you know, the competition he was going against, and despite how great of a career Kyle had, and anyone who followed OUA and CIS football knows what Kyle did here, the idea that he was able to be named the most valuable human being that is a man in the entire CIS. It's a pretty cool award. So we'll talk about all of that, but right now we're going to start you up, as we always do, with the starting five. We're going to go through some of the topics. If you're new to the show, some of the things that I pull out and I think are interesting from around the OUA and things that I don't really want to dwell on, so we just kind of hit them in quick points. Get you some info, get you some background on things that are going on in and around the OUA. So we will start it off this week with a pretty amazing little story. Brock wrestlers traveling abroad. We talked earlier in this show, earlier this year I should say, about the Brock wrestling team and the incredible success that they have had throughout the OUA, the CIS. I believe they might have, was it their 20th championship? I can't remember off the top of my head, but Jessica Bruyette, Emily Schaefer, Tyler Rowe, Chance Matuku, and Sam Jagas, all in Romania. All from Brock, and they are all in Romania to compete in an international junior tournament. The crew will then travel to Madrid, Spain for a week-long camp and then compete in a second tournament before coming home on May 19th. So all the best to them. 2014-15 Brock Female Athlete of the Year as well, Caroline Sluberski, is competing in Las Vegas this weekend. I believe it was this past weekend at the U.S. Open in hopes of qualifying for the World Championships in September. So good job to all the Badgers out there that are traveling around the world, wrestling with people from around the world. So that's very, very cool. Registration, number 2 in the starting 5, open for bubble soccer intramurals at Waterloo. They have bubble soccer. Is that not the best thing you've heard? I'm trying to imagine people that would have gone to school in the OUA and abroad in like the mid-90s when it was, you know, you get together and here's a ball and here's a hoop probably, and we're doing some intramurals. Like, I don't think that there was, I think we've hit a new age of intramural creativity where playing floor hockey like you did in gym class and shooting hoops probably isn't enough to get people out. So they're trying to do some creative things. I think Ultimate Frisbee was one of those things that kind of grew larger and larger in the last 10 years or so in intramurals around the OUA, and now we're looking at bubble soccer. If you're not familiar with it, bubble soccer, you trap yourself inside a zorb. If you're not familiar with what a zorb is, look it up. I can't really explain it. It's basically a big plastic thing that you sit yourself inside of, has shoulder harnesses, and then you just get to run over people as you play soccer. There's a note on the Waterloo Athletics and Recreation website that says, note, players over 6'2" in height may not properly fit inside a zorb and be fully protected. In these cases, the fit of the zorb can be tested on an individual basis. These players play at their own risk. Gotta love it. The dangerous sport of bubble soccer. The hits, if you haven't seen bubble soccer, just search big hits bubble soccer on YouTube. They are amazing because people, if you're able to take a 50-foot run at someone and you're both surrounded by plastic, well, the buoyancy of the plastic and the force smashing off each other send some people straight across the gym. And there's a pretty cool video that Waterloo actually sent out when they said that registration was open. So I believe captain's meeting is this Wednesday. So we look forward to a Waterloo bubble soccer highlight reel coming soon to you at OUA Today on Twitter. If you could play one sport in intramurals, what would it be? Let me know. I want to know some new creative ideas of things that we can get going around the OUA in terms of new sports to put into intramurals. I think that it would be a lot of fun to look at some of those. I think for myself, I would probably have to go with some form of laser tag type game. Whether that means that we are wearing a variety of different Velcro things, Velcro arrows, Velcro whatever, and you're chasing each other around through kind of a structured environment, whether it's a cubicle setup or something. I just think that that would be a lot of fun, and it's athletic. Why not? That's really the only rule when it comes to being able to play an intramural sport is make sure you're breathing hard and running around as much as you possibly can. I think that would be mine. Let me know at OUA Today. Jump on Twitter and get at me. Number 3 in the starting 5, the OUA versus the OCAA Men's Baseball All-Star Game held at Rogers Center. Skydome. OUA comes out on top, 8-4 in 11 innings of action. OUA champion Brock Badgers had 6 players and a coach involved in the game. Outfielder Justin Gideon, infielder Dan Nicoletta, right-handed pitcher coming out of the bullpen from Richmond Hill, Ontario, Phil Owen. Right-handed pitcher Dylan Perigo from Waterdown, Ontario. Right-handed pitcher Justin Isles from Brampton, Ontario. Infielder Phil Steer and head coach Jeff Lounsbury. So a very successful year for Brock during the OUA season in the fall, and then they follow it up because they send a bunch of guys to that game, and then they win again. And they actually also had a milestone in Brock baseball program history not long ago. So in terms of number of wins, I can't remember if it was 200 or 300, somewhere in there, but I'm sure somebody will let me know. Number 4 on the starting 5, Guelph Gryphons Kelly Gribbons awarded prestigious engineering scholarship. The foundation is proud to announce that Kelly Gribbons, a second-year systems and computing engineering student at the University of Guelph, has been named the 2015 All-Stream Information and Communication Technology Engineering Scholarship winner. The name of that scholarship alone, I think, is longer than the name of my program. This prestigious $5,000 scholarship is awarded annually to the most promising woman interested in the information and communication technologies engineering field at the university level. Kelly has held many extracurricular leadership roles throughout her academic career and is well positioned to leverage her experience in promoting engineering as a field of study for young women. That is something that and again, perhaps women's hockey, it's more likely than others, but I'm thinking about, your NCAA basketballs, your NCAA footballs. It's finding a diamond in a rough, to say the least, to find somebody who is going to win a scholarship for information and communication technology engineering. That's just not a thing that happens very much. So I find that very cool that it's happening in the OUA. and that it's somebody who is so directly involved with her hockey team because she's played on the Guelph women's hockey team for several years now. So congratulations to Kelly. Don't spend it all in one place. $5,000. York alumni qualifying for the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. York Lions sending out a tweet this week congratulating Kamika Bingham for helping the 4x100 meter relay team qualify for the 2016 Olympic Games. Should also mention York University Lions men's soccer players Casey DeMello and Jonathan Lau were among the 20 student athletes named by the Canadian Inter-University Sport to represent Canada at the 2015 Summer Universiade in Gwangju, South Korea this summer. And we haven't talked about that much. I think Amanda and Scott might have hit on it when I was away a couple of weeks ago. But the Summer Universiade, we talked a lot about the Winter Universiade that was held in Granada, Spain, this past January, and it was a great event. The men's and women's hockey teams are going at it. I believe the women came out with a silver. They lost to Russia, I want to say, in the final, but very cool to have some of our CIS and OUA athletes traveling around the world, as I just talked about the Brock wrestlers are, to be able to compete against the world's best in their discipline. And there's a lot of CIS and OUA athletes who are going to be traveling to Gwangju, South Korea this summer. So we're going to get some more coverage on that as we go. It's going to be a crazy summer for that kind of thing, though, because the Pan Am Games as well. We've already had a Guelph swimmer. I forget his name off the top of my head, but he has been named to the Canadian swimming team for the Pan Am Games. So whether you are at home or abroad, there's going to be a large variety of people that are connected to everything that's going on here that are going to be traveling and competing. So we'll try to give them as much coverage as we humanly can. Last one for you. I did 5, and I had to get this in as the 6th because I'm not sure we're going to be able to get to it once we join together with our guest here in a couple of minutes. As I said, if you're just tuning in, Ettore Lattanzio coming up in a couple of minutes. And after that, we're going to have Ross Proudfoot, the BLG Men's Award winner, joining us around 9:40 or so. Wasn't sure we're going to be able to get to this once we talk to those guys, so I wanted to get in now. Women's basketball all-star game happened in Kingston on Saturday evening. Pretty great event. It was apparently close to a capacity crowd. That's what the people at QTV down at Queens that do a great job there said. Our friend Bill Miklas was on the call, a fellow tweeter that likes to connect with OUA Today. So we appreciate Bill being on the call down there and giving us a shout to let us know what was going on in the game. Team Clark wins 71-69 over Team Valet. The two OUA finals coaches, Chantal Valet of the Windsor Lancers and Carly Clark of the Ryerson Rams, they each led their OUA team as head coaches. New this season, though, coaches were given the opportunity to draft their players, with each team consisting of OUA All-Stars and All-Rookies, pitting Team Valet against Team Clark. It was played in Kingston, as I said. It's pretty cool to be able to draft because I had the idea not long ago. Maybe we'll explore it once Scott and Amanda are back, but the idea of doing almost a draft lottery for every showcase game, because then you get some very unique groupings. For example, Liz Bogue was playing against Jenny Wright, who are Queen's teammates, and I saw a clip of them as Liz was walking on the court. They kind of laughed and looked at each other and couldn't believe that they were going against each other, even though, they're playing on the same team. They're from the same end of the province. They both, grew up in Kingston, all of these things. You get some pretty cool pairings where they have to play against each other. So it kind of sets up almost a practice scenario where you're used to playing against each other. As per usual, though, Jalissa Williams stole the show. She put up 27 points to go along with 12 boards and 5 assists in a losing effort for Team Valet. She was named the Porter Airlines MVP. Shout out to Porter. I auctioned off 2 Porter tickets at the McMaster football banquet. The gala dinner, I should say, last Tuesday evening. Porter, if you've never flown with them before, get on it. I'm not saying that because they're connected to the OUA or anything else. I've flown with them before. They're great. Porter Airlines MVP, Jalissa Williams. The scoring was spread even among the members of the winning side for Team Clark, with McMaster Marauder Danielle Boyago and Queens Gales Liz Bogue pacing the team with 10 points apiece, while 6 others played and had 6 points or more for Team Clark. The Gales' Jenny Wright, who I just spoke about, was the other player to reach double digits in points with 10, while a pair of Laurier Golden Hawks absolutely dominated on the boards. Leanne Ossie, who we've spoken with Shelby Blackley from the court up at Laurier about, and Whitney Eleanor combined for 23 rebounds. I didn't actually see a box score for this game, but I feel like in order to have 23 rebounds, they had to be chucking and ducking. There had to be a lot of shots going up, I'm pretty sure. So, pretty awesome event that happened in Kingston there. I have a quick sound clip for you here from Jalissa Williams. This is her after the game talking to our friend Bill Miklas up there in Kingston after the game about what it means for local women and girls to be inspired and what it means for them to stay local, similar to the conversation we've had about men's basketball in this country?
Like you said, it's mainly towards the younger players. We went to the Jules banquet last night, and a couple of my teammates, Haley Milligan, she spoke on, staying here to play ball and like bringing the culture of basketball, more, bring it back here. That's the main thing. I was at Georgia State for 2 years in the NCAA. Not that it wasn't competitive, but I came up here. I needed to get away from home a little, and just to inspire these girls to stay here and bring the competition level up in Canada. You don't have to go anywhere else. That's my main thing. The NCAA, it's huge around the world, but at the same time, it's huge because there's more players there, right? So in Canada, I feel like if more players could stay here and compete more, especially like the younger Canadians, then this league could excel in ways just like the NCAA.
It's great to hear from someone who is not kind of a domestic national product in Joseph Williams, who is from just outside Atlanta, Georgia. It's great to hear, and I think it's much more realistic in the women's game, even though, Kia Nurse is from Hamilton, Ontario. She played for the Yukon Huskies and won the American Athletic Conference Rookie of the Year, but she's kind of one of those exceptional status athletes that has moved on and gone and done amazing things in the NCAA. But we had this conversation not long ago about men's Canadian basketball, and I think it's an interesting one that we should approach with women's basketball as well, in terms of building local training centers, building something like the Orangeville Athletes Prep Institute. That is, I think, the goal, or what should be the goal of Canadian basketball moving forward, but that is for the decision makers that will be to decide. We're going to take the break. When we come back on OUA Today here on CFMU 93.3, we're going to be talking with a guy that spent a lot of his time trying to damage my body over the last couple of years, and for some strange reason, it has led me to absolutely adoring his game and wishing him all the best. We'll be right back on CFMU 93.3. Hi, this is Marshall Ferguson from the McMaster football team. With 4 Ontario championships, 5 teams winning national medals, and numerous Marauders ascending the medal podium in their sports, this has been a great season for McMaster Athletics. But our biggest success is the work McMaster Athletes Care is doing in the Hamilton community. To all of our community partners and corporate sponsors, thanks for helping us make a difference.
McMaster Athletes Care, working with local youth groups to give back to the Hamilton community. For more information about Marauders Athletics and Recreation, visit marauders.ca.
This is the most prestigious music I could find for, he's jumping the gun on me. He just wants on the air. Most prestigious music I could possibly find for a guy that I respect very much. And I thought we should give a hero's welcome to the show. Welcome to OUA Today. Ettore Lattanzio. How are you, buddy?
Not too bad, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
No, I'm glad to have you. Like I said, I wanted to get you on earlier in the season, but you were too busy trying to destroy my body in all sorts of crazy ways. So I thought it was best if I just don't make you angry, and then we wait until the season's over, and then I have you on now. But you are eligible for the CFL draft. You've gone through the whole process. You've been doing the dance with the scouts and with the workouts and everything else. Let me know first and foremost, for anybody who's seen you play, and, there's kind of always this dark period once we are done the OUA season where people that aren't involved in the actual preparation process wonder where the heck everybody goes and where you go, and because all of a sudden you just pop up in CFL training camps. How has the process been for you as you've been going through getting ready?
It's definitely been, it's been exciting. It was tough, having to balance everything with school for the, 4 or so months of training.
Yeah.
But it's been really good, man. I've enjoyed the process. I got to meet a lot of great people, especially at the Combine. You meet a lot of good players, and you get to meet all the CFL staff members. So that was really awesome. And after that's done, just the waiting game now,
Yeah. How frustrating almost is the waiting? Because, what was the last interaction that you had with teams? Would it have been the E-Camp?
I was actually the last couple of days. I've had a couple teams call me.
Oh, good.
But it's for the past month and a half. It's been pretty quiet. Haven't really heard much at all.
Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it?
It is. You just don't know. And if you're not one of the premier guys, you're not getting most of the coverage.
Right.
So some of the top guys, they tend to have a better idea as to who may pick them or which pick they might be. So it's, for guys such as myself, you're waiting. just waiting to see what happens.
Here's my thing, though. Why are you not one of the top guys? Like, and this is completely, I have a very unique perspective. I think that's what I add to this radio show, is that I'm talking to guys that I've played against and I have personal experience with them. Maybe everybody has a different experience with every different player, but for example, I respect Chris Aki that is going to be, he tested through the roof and everybody loves him, and he's kind of that hot name that's coming up to the draft, which is, by the way, Tuesday evening on TSN. First couple of rounds are on TV and then the rest are streamed online. But when I played against Laurier, when I broke the huddle, I was not concerned with Chris Aki. And you can say that that's because he's a defensive back instead of a defensive lineman like yourself. But the reality is, if you're a threat enough to me, and not even in terms of blitzing or getting to the quarterback, but in terms of making a play in any way, like Craig Butler would be an example of a guy when I was young in my career. I would see him across the line and I would know where he was every time. Right? So, and I did that for you. That's what I'm trying to get at here, is like, every single time I broke the huddle, I would go, "Dear God, where is ET? Because if I don't know where he is, something terrible is going to happen." And then it's frustrating to me that you're not kind of in that conversation of guys that should be getting all of those calls from the scouts that are saying, "Listen, we're going to take you at 3 unless they do this, and then we'll take you at 5, or we'll trade up." And so, is that frustrating at all for you to understand your own abilities and to have guys like me who have direct experience playing against you that know how good you are, and still not to maybe be on that upper echelon? Does that fuel the fire, or like, what is that like?
I mean, certainly, it fuels the fire because it makes you, have that chip on your shoulder, and it gives you that little bit of extra push to want to compete and be that much better, right? Because you have to constantly prove yourself. But I mean, I'm not too surprised about the whole thing, just because I'm not the typical defensive lineman, let alone defensive tackle.
Right.
So, I mean, teams need to evaluate me and see firsthand, especially during camp, because the combine can only show you so much, obviously.
Yeah.
But they need to see firsthand, what kind of player I am. Even though you can watch film and whatnot, you have to see firsthand in person what this guy can do. So, right now there's still a lot of question marks, over my head as to, who am I? What can I be in this league?
It sounds like a Disney character. Who am I?
Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes it's a case of xenophobia, where people are apprehensive, afraid of difference.
Yes.
I think there's something that's different. I mean, I don't fit the mold, so I'm not like the rest. Look at all the other defensive tackles, at least in the league, or even just in this draft stock. I mean, I'm the smallest guy,
right?
So it's just sometimes it's a matter of do you fit the mold, and it'll come down to which team sees me not only just as a tackle, but I mean also as some other type of player. Whether I play end, some teams have said fullback.
Yeah.
On the occasional lead block, whatever, but even linebacker in certain cases, whether I'm blitzing or dropping the coverage, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it'll take some learning to to get good at those things. But at the end of the day, I just want an opportunity. So I don't care if I went first or last. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, just give me that opportunity and I'll play.
Either way, you're on a roster, right? And that's the joy of the CFL. Is, I would say, the joy and the curse, I should say, because you might be on a roster no matter where you get drafted, but at the same time, the draft is so small because there's only 9 teams, right? I mean, there's not a ton of jobs to go around. But I was going to say, before I got into that, if there was ever a league that was designed to have people who don't fit the mold succeed, it's the CFL, is it not?
Oh, certainly. I mean, the NFL is such a big conglomeration, and they have such specific criteria for players to meet that it doesn't allow for certain athletes to compete.
Right.
And not necessarily because they can't compete. It's just it's almost like you're written off before you get an opportunity.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people always make the argument, well, the NFL is better than the CFL, there's better players. I mean, yeah, but you could also make the argument that the CFL just has different players, period.
Yeah.
And some of the most dominant CFL players, I mean, look at Cameron Wake. I mean, if the NFL is so much better overall across the board, he shouldn't be dominating like he was in the CFL, but in the NFL. You know what I mean? But he is.
Yeah, and you could almost argue that Cam Wake has had more success playing for the Dolphins, and when he was in the CFL, what is a typical position that a lot of teams use a Canadian in? A left tackle, right?
Exactly.
So he was almost having less success against a Canadian left tackle, left guard combo, and maybe your odd Canadian fullback who's picking him up than he is against guys down there. So I completely agree.
Exactly.
Switch gears a little bit here. Who do you compare yourself to? Who would be a comparable if you were sitting in an interview room that is in the league now? Because I have one in mind, but I want to know what you think.
You know what? I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I'm really not too sure. I mean, I know who I try and play like, but they no longer play anymore. But
who is it?
I love John Randall when he used to play for the Vikings.
Oh yeah, that's actually a great comparison. How I think about it.
Because he was undersized. He came in to camp. He was like 240, 245, and the coaches saw something in him and they kept him on. He put on the weight that was necessary for him to play, and best interior pass rusher ever.
Yeah, he's and also one of the funnest sound clips in the history of NFL films. He's a talker, and I know that you are too. My idea for who you might be, and this isn't a direct comparison, but I was just thinking about size, stature, and the position he ended up playing. Jake Thomas that came out of Acadia a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He's 6'2", 269. I'm looking at his bio here, and he's I played against him in one game in a national semifinal where I was on the sidelines, and I got to watch him a lot because he was the real good pass rusher, similar to your game. And I thought that he was a guy that kind of came up a little bit. But anyways, John Randall, a guy that you talked to or that you looked up to when you were kind of playing, he's a talker.
I'm not as bad as I never really spoke as much as him.
Here's the thing,
we have dialogues. You talk trash. I was just talking.
Yeah, you just like to speak. That's all good. I had a little birdie who may or may not be an elite world class kicker tell me that you do like to chat.
Oh God, I have an idea as to who that person is.
Yes, he might have wonderfully long locks that look very similar to Calgary Stampeders special teams coordinator Mark Killam. He looks like Nick Jonas. Tell him that. I'm sure he'll hear it. I'm sure he'll be listening to this. But Tyler Cabrini told me that you like to talk, even back from your days when you guys were growing up in Ottawa. What about talking? I don't want to say excites you, but what do you enjoy about it? Is it just a fun way to fill the day because football at the end of the day is a game?
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved to talk. I just like communicating with people. Just getting to know people, and the best way to do that is through, dialogue.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, even during the games, like there's been a few times where I try trash talk. It just doesn't always come out the best way because I'm just not, you're not in the right mindset. And sometimes it's a gift. Some people can just do it.
Yeah.
So normally I just talk to the guys, tell a joke, try and stay loose. And in my everyday life, I'm always just trying to converse with people, and it makes things more enjoyable.
Yeah, my introduction to you was when we played in 2013 week one here, and I'll be honest, I had watched you and I knew how good you were, but I didn't really know until we actually played. In that game, you laid a licking a couple of times, but and you got some good shots, I remember. But so a couple of low snaps because our center was having trouble dealing with you, and the snaps were coming back into my feet. And about the second or third one, I remember just falling on it and have you run by and go, "That's three! That's three!" And I was like, "Oh man, Henry's got me again." But your time at Ottawa, what are you most proud of?
You know what? I have to say, this year actually getting back to playing you guys for the semi was probably, my most proud moment, just, as a team, because besides my first year when, I played with Brad Sinopoli and a bunch of my team at that point.
Yeah, Cyril Jetty and Hughes and all those guys.
They were stacked. I mean, they were basically the Vanier Cup team. Obviously it didn't go that way, but that team was stacked. It was a seasoned team. And as a rookie, you don't normally feel like you're truly a part of it, even though you might be a practice roster demon or whatever.
Right.
But it just, I felt that even though we went to the AIDS Cup, I felt more a part of the team and the experience this past season when we actually got to play you guys again, because, you know, I'm a starter, I'm captain, and
right.
And, you know, we had a really rough season all around. You know, we had lost the Panda game, which was a big kick in the stomach, you know, and we were able to come back from that, you know, because we could have easily just rolled over, and when we had to play you guys to get an opportunity and to actually have a chance to play in Windsor again, that was kind of us controlling our own destiny. So,
yeah. And
I know you guys made the argument, well, you know, we pulled out our guys and everything, but I mean, at the end of the day, we still have to win the game. So we kind of killed two stone, because by us winning, we were able to nullify Carleton,
yes.
And it allowed us to, you know, get an opportunity to extend our seasons.
Yeah.
That was definitely a moment, just being able to get a little bit further in the playoffs.
That was kind of the sweet justice of the Panda game, is it not? Mm-hmm. That you were able to sneak into the playoffs ahead of Carleton, who after that game obviously went down in ridiculous fashion with Nate Bahar catching the game-winning touchdown. But yeah, that's very interesting to me that was that game, because I remember, you know, people said, oh, maybe Mac wants to drop this game. No, we were 100% trying to do everything in our power, because no team wants to, when you have a chance to go 8-0, go 7-1, right?
That's exactly it.
So we were playing as hard as we possibly could. We prepped for you guys as hard as any team that we had prepped for all season, and you straight beat us, right? And we were a team. This is what I think is great about OUA football in this past season, and we'll see if it continues in the fall, is there was probably 5 teams in the top of the OUA, similar to the way that basketball went this year. 5 teams in the top of the OUA that if any of us got hot at the right time, we would have gone on a run that we did. Right? Like exactly. we got there just based on the fact that we timed out correctly, and we ended up going where we wanted to. But I think, you know, even you guys, Derek Wendell started the season so hot, and he had a really good season overall, but if he would have ended the season the way that he started it, with like an 80% completion percentage or something stupid, whatever it was, then there's no way that you guys don't go on a run too. So that's where the chips fall. But it was definitely that game and that playoff game were battles, because we knew how great of a team you were. In your time at Ottawa, are there any regrets? Is there anything that maybe even like a little moment in a game or something, aside from maybe the Panda, or, you know, whether it's a playoff loss, something like that, where you look back on it and you say, you know what, because I know I have all sorts of regrets about the ways that the venue went this year, little things I could have done.
You know, games tend to be a blur, to be honest with you. Sometimes when
you play as fast as you do, everything's going to be a blur.
Honest to God, it's hard to remember sometimes, you know, like after a game is done, I'm always like, what happened exactly, you know? Because, you know, everything is so fast, and you're kind of reacting and just going through the motions, and you make a play, and you're like, oh, look, cool, I made a play. But I don't know if I can pin down to having one single regret, because, I mean, unfortunately, I've never been able to be in, you know, I haven't been able to go to, you know, the playoffs that far, so far as to having to play for a championship. But I'd say if I had to look back, I mean, they're playing in the Panda game this year was tough, just because I felt that you know, you never want to leave a game where you're like, oh, I didn't do enough, or I should have done more. And not that I didn't try and do as much as I possibly could, but, you know, when you lose a game like that on that kind of a stage, and that's the closest I could say to being in the championship at our level. Right. You know, you always wish you could have done a little bit more. Like if I watch, you know, when you watch the last play before he receives the ball on the Hail Mary, you know, I watched myself where I was on the field, and, you know, if I just got enough penetration, because I didn't really get any at that point, you know, they were able to double team me on it. So, you know, if I got that penetration, could I have maybe disrupted, you know, the pass a little bit more? Would he have had, because, you know, Jesse Mills is not exactly a mobile guy. Yeah. So,
hey, he's no Marshall Ferguson, let's be clear.
He's just like a tree that's throwing the ball. He's taller than me. He's huge.
Yeah, he is a monster.
Yeah. So, I mean, if I was able to get back there, you know, could he have thrown off his timing a bit, and he would have been a different story. But overall, I'm leaving the league pretty happy with what I've done overall.
Yeah, no, I completely agree that you have earned every bit of respect you've gotten. I mean, you were OUA Defensive MVP this year and all of these things, right? So it's, there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of in any way there. I just ask because I know there's been moments that I look back on, not daily, but anytime I'm kind of around a football field. I mean, I was in Montreal this past week and I was standing on the field that I lost the Vanier in, and I'm going, man, I remember this throw and that throw and that throw, and I could have done this and that, and there's always little things. And I mean, I think that's the mark of a good player, and that's what's going to make you an exceptional CFL player down the road, is because you remember some of the little things that you want to do better in those little moments. But I don't know if I would beat yourself up too much about that end play against Carleton, because you know 150% in the huddle they're going, whoever has ET in the gap, we're doubling and don't move.
For sure.
Right?
Well, the toughest game I had to play, I think, and not necessarily the toughest team, but just the toughest two games that I had to play were probably against Windsor.
Yep.
Because they were very, very dirty.
Yeah.
the line at least, to say the least. And they were hyping the game up because in the previous season I had gotten like 4 sacks against their quarterback.
Yep.
And this year they're hyping it up, saying, who's going to win? How many is he going to get this game? And I didn't really care. Like, I just want to play to win. Like, I want to win. If I get a sack, I get a sack. But it didn't matter. Would it be nice? Obviously. But it didn't happen this year. And there were certain plays, when I was watching the game, I'm like, if I had just moved over a bit, an inch or two to the right, maybe I could have been there sooner. Like, if I did this, but you know what? And like you said, it's the mark of a good player if you're constantly critiquing yourself, and I'm probably my biggest critic. But most games, I tend to leave. I mean, I never leave a game thinking I didn't do my best, or I didn't try my best.
Yeah.
Maybe my best wasn't the best that I've ever done in any given game, but it was the best that I could offer at that time. And sometimes, teams steam really well against me. So playing you the second time was definitely harder than the first time, because you guys got a chance to kind of evaluate me and know how to block me.
Yeah.
And it's tough because I wasn't exactly being moved around too much, so if I'm always in a 3-tech or a 1-tech, it's you're either double teaming me or you guys are doing slide pro or something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I think another good mark of a player is when you force an entire team to worry about you enough to change their entire scheme. You basically created a makeshift 1-week blocking scheme that McMaster has never used before. In my 5 years here, at least, that we've never used before, and we got forced to use it because of what you were playing. But so you went through all of these CFL things we talked about. We talked about mini camps and a little bit about that. You've played in the East-West as well. I know it was fairly successful.
Actually, I never did.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Google.
No worries. I was selected to go. I just never went. It was little at camp because we had Coach Bress who was new, and he was putting in his system, and we were getting our new DC was putting in his system. And I just said, you know what, I didn't feel like I was 100% anyways, and just wasn't really in it mentally. And I said, you know what, like, give it to someone else who really. And never, everyone else made a big deal about the East-West, and I get, obviously it's a great experience, and I'm sure, I would have had a blast, being able to play against some of those guys. But at the time, it just didn't really feel, too important, and I had, I talked to my coach, and he said, listen, he goes, when it comes to going to the next level, it's not as important as you might think. It might have some bearing on your standings for the first TSN rankings that they might, send out. But at the end of the day, it's really not that big a deal. Yeah,
and you moved up the rankings anyways throughout the season, right? So it's...
Exactly. And again, like that, one team might have me at number 1 on their draft board for all I know. You know what I mean? Those rankings, you can't look at that stuff and worry about it. And at the end of the day, I don't care like if I go first or I go last. I just want to get an opportunity. But I looked at it from that standpoint. I said, well, do I take do I leave spring camp and miss out on learning the system a little bit better to go play East-West, or do I stay and try and learn the system? And that was that was, my obvious choice for myself.
Yeah, that's. I think that's very valiant of you, because as a veteran leader, once you got to that point in your career and you realized what was going on around you, what was more important, that takes a lot of guts to step out of the limelight and be chosen for an all-star game and dedicate yourself to your team. So I think that's very cool. Did you do many interviews with teams at the E-Camp?
I got 6 out of the 9.
6 out of the 9. Okay, good.
Which I thought was a lot, because they're about 15 or 10 to 15 minutes long, and you're just walking around making sure you don't show up late. I must have been like 10 minutes. I literally would sit outside doors and wait for other guys to interview. I was like, I'm not going to be late. Like, I'm here. I'm on time.
Yeah.
So, but some guys, they got all 9 teams, and that's it's grueling by the end of the night. Even though I love to talk, your voice, your mouth is just so dry and.
But just mentally exhausting too, right? I mean, by going through all these teams and trying to make sure that every single question is answered correctly. Well, here's the thing. You interviewed with 6 of the 9. Well, I'm going to be your 7th team, because it's time to play Who Wants to Be a CFL Employee.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we're doing it. You're on the height seat.
Oh, boy.
Ettore Lattanzio.
Yeah.
If you have an off day, what are you doing?
Probably playing PS4.
So you like PS4, but you don't like Xbox 360. What's wrong with the 360?
Well, the 360 is last generation, just so you know. So
you're discriminatory against age.
Yeah, basically. I'm not a Microsoft fan, so got to put the 360 to the side.
If you had to go for lunch with either Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, who are you picking and why?
Probably Steve Jobs, because I have some issues with the iPhone. But, overall, I'd say I'd go with him.
What issues are you having with the iPhone? What's wrong with the Apple technology?
I no longer have it, but I always found that it's as easy and user-friendly as it could be. Sometimes I feel like the Androids they can offer more, they do more.
That's
Apple's
fair.
too slow to change.
That's fair. Well, you'll have to let someone at Apple know that you're not very happy with them. Next question for you. It's an aptitude question.
Mm-hmm. 2
trains are running in opposite directions.
Mm-hmm.
They cross a man standing on the platform in 27 seconds and 17 seconds respectively, and they cross each other in 23 seconds. If you were on one of those trains, what would you order from lunch on the menu consisting of a cream cheese bagel, cold cut meat sandwich, and meat lovers pizza?
I order a meat lovers pizza.
You're down for the meat lovers?
I love the meat lovers.
That says a lot about you to CFL scouts, Ettore. Are you sure you want to lock in that final answer?
I'll lock it in.
Ettore, how committed are you to playing defensive line? Because I'm Jim Popp here from the Montreal Alouettes, and we'd really like to move you to tight end and have you be a downhill blocker.
Well, if that's my job, I'll do it. I'm committed to being a defensive lineman. Certainly, that's, I think, where my skill set is best suited. But if the team needs me to play tight end, I'll play tight end.
Last one I have for you here. This is the most important question of the entire day.
All right.
Skittles or M&Ms?
Skittles.
That is the correct answer. First overall draft pick. We would like to sign you to a $10,000 signing bonus just for saying Skittles. Listen, buddy, I wish you all the best. I appreciate you taking the time to joke around with me on here and joining OUA Today. If you're taken in the top 5, I'll shave your initials into my head. If you're first overall, because I believe in the cause so much, I'll let you just pick a tattoo that you can put all over me. Okay?
I'll put my face right on your shoulder.
Yes, that's what I need. Just the full arm sleeve of ET. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate it. All the best of luck in the draft, okay?
Thanks, man. Appreciate it for having me on there.
No worries. We'll be sure to check in with you soon.
All right, take care. Ciao.
You too. Ettore Lattanzio of the Ottawa GGs, former, and now he is headed towards the CFL. Fun guy to be around, tough competitor. When we come back after the break, we're going to be speaking with the BLG Male Award winner. It is Ross Proudfoot from the Guelph Gryphons, a runner extraordinaire. Look forward to talking to him. We'll be right back on CFMU 93.3.
After the final ball has flown, and the final catch made, and the last screaming fan has left the stadium, The ball is passed from one team member to the next so the players can sign their names. But of all the names, there is one on that ball that is perhaps the most important. That name is Wilson. Good luck this season.
Welcome back to OUA Today, everyone. Marshall Ferguson in studio here at CFMU. Excited to speak to our next guest, a guy who has had a really exceptional career as a Guelph Gryphon and has set all kinds of records, and rightfully so was named the BLG Male Athlete of the Year in the CIS last Wednesday, I believe it was. Ross Proudfoot, how are you?
Great. Yourself?
Not bad, man. You tell me a little bit about yourself, because this is a thing that I had with Corey Bellamore, who you might be familiar with. It was part of our OUA Ultimate Bracket. The running community, for a guy like myself that played football, I don't have a good enough understanding of how tight-knit everyone was in this running community. And I have to be honest, when I looked at some of the people that you were going against in the BLG Awards, I know Andrew Buckley, who I'm sure you became familiar with, the quarterback from University of Calgary. I've talked to him lots before, and I thought, it's going to be tough for Ross, but we wish the OUA well. And then you went and won the thing. How strung together is the running community, and how tight-knit is it? Because there is such a great support, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a unique sport. You're all kind of just working hard every day and pushing yourself kind of physically to your limits. It's not so much, a team sport game where you're looking for teamwork and a lot of just like game smarts and field smarts. So everyone kind of knows that you got to go through that hall to kind of put yourself physically every day at practice. So it's kind of easy to get along with other runners and stuff, because you really do realize how hard it is to get out the door, every morning or twice a day kind of for those runs and stuff. So whenever you are in the same city as a guy, you link up, you go for runs and stuff like that. So it's definitely a tight-knit community, and, you just kind of meet everybody at track meets. Everyone's in the same building all day, so it's easy to get along with each other.
When you are talking about getting together with guys in different cities and how tight-knit it is and the fact that you go for runs and it's tough to get out the door, when you are young and a lot of your friends are probably saying, I'm going to go play soccer, football, basketball, all these team sports, what about being in an individual sport like running intrigued you at a young age? Because this isn't exactly one of those things that you can just pick up at the age of 19 and blow the doors off.
Yeah, I think it's something you kind of got to move slowly toward. I mean, everybody I love team sports as a kid and stuff like that, and I love pickup games, around the neighborhood, and just getting a bunch of guys to go out there and play hard and have a lot of fun. And I think you kind of have to use running and slowly kind of integrate it. So using it kind of for team sports and just getting fit. Like when we had cross country running in elementary school, it just we would play on every sports team in the elementary school. Why don't we go for cross country? That sounds like a good idea. And racing's fun, and obviously doing well is fun. So kind of just staying in it and kind of moving up and getting a little more used to making running a primary sport as I went, rather than jumping in it as a young kid and just being like, I'm going to hard nose run every day and run miles as a kid. That's not necessarily a healthy childhood. So just kind of moving up and kind of learning a bit more about the sport as I went, and taking it more seriously one step at a time, high school, university, and just kind of building on it.
What was your high school running experience like? Because I know you're from Sudbury, and what was the competition like up there, and how did you make your way to Guelph?
Yeah, so we had some awesome coaching and stuff upstairs or up north, and we had some great club coaches and lots of high school involvement and stuff, but definitely just not as much competition up there. A little bit of kind of just smaller fields and stuff like that, so it was more racing in Sudbury alone, whereas down south you get kind of those regional competitions and some stuff before kind of cities and regionals, whereas we kind of jump in, cities, NASA, and then boom, before you're really ran against anybody, any competition, you're kind of at OSA. But, great experience, awesome coaching, and just really kind of what I needed to slowly get me into the sport and not really push me too far. As a grade 9 student and stuff, where I was still, a multi-sport athlete in high school. So I definitely, contribute a lot of my success kind of just being able to stay healthy and enjoy the sport at a young age up north and kind of move down here and make the steps when I needed to rather than too early.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about, again, being in Sudbury. It's so, people that are from down here around the GTA and whatever, and I'm sure you get this all the time from people to go, oh, you're from Sudbury? What is it like up there kind of thing? But in a sport like running where, if you are from downtown Toronto, going through for cross country isn't exactly the smoothest of things because you're running through some very urban environments. Do you think that growing up in Sudbury helped not necessarily your development, but maybe your interest and joy of being a part of cross-country running because it is so wide open in spaces?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of dirt roads and trail to hop on that were easy enough. And, lakes to hop in on halfway through a run and stuff like that was awesome. But
that sounds amazing.
You come to a city like Guelph, and I kind of expected, Southern Ontario to not be as good. I know Guelph's not a huge city and stuff like that, and there'd be some trails, but it's really impressed me down here, too, what kind of trails they have to offer and stuff like that. So up north was great, being able to just kind of go wherever I needed to go and hit dirt roads, and I kind of had a lot of options, whereas here it's just everything's really well taken care of kind of for what they have. So as far as trail running, I mean, Guelph's amazing here too as well, but I definitely just being able to leave my door and kind of hit dirt roads in 3 minutes or so was nice in Sudbury and up in the kind of towns and outskirts.
Yeah, I think anybody that has grown up in the GTA or in an overly urban environment would appreciate the idea of being able to walk out your front door and be somewhere kind of quieter and relaxed like that. Last one for you here to get you out. Your birthday's on July 4th. What's the best birthday you've ever had?
Twisty question. Well, I've had lots of birthdays kind of on the road and in competition and stuff like that. So, I'd say my best birthday was qualifying for World Juniors. Grade 12, never made a national team, and ran the 5K at nationals on my birthday, and got my ticket to my first national team. World Juniors was in Moncton that year, so at home in Canada, and just an awesome experience there. So I think, turning 18 and being able to sign my papers for my first national team was definitely a number one birthday.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a bad birthday. That's all good.
No, it was pretty solid.
That's awesome. Well, hey, man, listen, you're the BLG Male Athlete Award winner, and it's an amazing accomplishment. Just think about the number of athletes that play throughout this country in team sports, individual sports, up and down, all these conferences. There's thousands and thousands, literally, and you've won the male CIS MVP. So it's an amazing accomplishment. All the best, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Happy to speak with you. All the best. Awesome. That was Ross Proudfoot from the University of Guelph. A really interesting guy. Man, the psychology of going for those long runs like that. I don't know if I was necessarily built for that, but it's a different one. So all the best. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Awesome. Thanks.
No worries. All right, it's time for us to get to a little bit of a roundup here. Got about 4 minutes left, and first we're going to do the tweet of the week.
Tweet of the week. Wow. Twitter.
Tweet of the week. This week it comes from Steph Carr, who is the Carleton Ravens women's basketball number 5 in your programs. I think she has a sentiment that many athletes would agree with. She says, just want to be rich enough to buy boneless, skinless chicken breast instead of chicken thighs. # goals.
Tweet of the week. Wow. Twitter.
I can't agree with that more. I think a lot of people, when they go away to university, think, it's fine. If my parents are worried about me buying my own food and living in my own place, and then you get there and you're like, chicken is how much? And I'm an athlete, so I need to eat something other than potato chips? It's a bit of a stretch maybe, but it is. I know I definitely hit that road, and I was like, damn, that kind of costs a lot of money. Half my OSAP's going to go towards eating the right food. The other one comes from Michael Faulds, the head coach of the Laurier Golden Hawks, who was at the CFL and CIS East-West Bowl this past week. Got to speak with him. He said, come to the at CFL draft party hosted by Laurier Football and Wilf's Pub, Tuesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. on TSN Sports. 8 p.m. is the time that they are going to start this little draft party. It's going to be up at Laurier. It's going to be at Wilf's Pub, as he said, and it should be a great event. They have 6 guys who are eligible. I talked to Coach Faulds about it. He said, they're expecting some of the guys to go higher than others. Obviously, Chris Aki and one of their defensive linemen is also expected to go pretty high, but with the first 2 rounds only being shown on TV, they're going to stream the rest of the draft in hopes that Dylan Campbell and a couple of the other guys that have had outstanding careers there will have their chance to get drafted and move on, like Ettore Lattanzio, who we just spoke to. I want to mention as well, we're talking about football development and guys making the next jump. The OUA Growing the Gridiron events, they're firing up next week. Okay, next week is going to be some of the dates. I'll throw them at you right now. Tuesday, May 19th. 7 to 10 is at U of T. Wednesday, May 20th, 7 to 10 at the University of Guelph. Friday, May 22nd, 7 to 10 at the University of Waterloo. And Wednesday is the final one, May 27th, 7 to 10 p.m. at McMaster. So those are the Growing the Gridiron events. They're great camps. They're hosted by some of the different schools, and they have the varsity athletes out on the actual field with your kids and with your high school competitors, getting better, learning some new skills and drills, and really trying to help build this entire conference and this entire country in terms of football respect. And man, being at the East-West Bowl this past week, you can definitely see that some of the kind of grassroots things that have happened are making a big difference, because there's guys from certain areas. Burlington was the one that jumped out to me. They had 7 guys at East-West this week that had come from Halton area high schools. And they were all over the country. They all came back, and they were all selected for that East-West Bowl. So pretty cool. The big finish this week, I actually made some omissions last week in my big finish, where I was talking about all of the MVPs from across all of the different sports. I accidentally missed out on the UIT Ridgebacks and the Trent Excalibur. Again, I'm just the dumb football guy who doesn't know that there's schools outside of football that play in this conference sometimes, and I apologize for that to the people of UIT and to the Trent Excalibur. It was brought to my attention by David Wood, the Guelph Gryphon curling team manager, and a dedicated listener who sent me an email. So this week, the entire big finish is going out to UIT and the Trent Excalibur. Ending the night of celebration at the Regent Theatre in downtown Oshawa, Taylor Landry of Whitby, Ontario, and Ben Bevan of Whitby, Ontario were named the 2014-15 Athletes of the Year for the UIT Ridgebacks. A communications major, Landry was a major part of the women's lacrosse team, making the OUA Final Four for the first time in program history, officially the second team to do it at UIT. The Whitby native scored 3 goals in the OUA bronze medal game, which they lost to the University of Toronto Varsity Blues. A graduating senior, Ben Bevan, got the men's curling team further than ever before in program history, skipping a team of 4 first-year players. He led the team to a 5-1 round-robin record at the OUA Championships before the team eventually lost their quarterfinal. The Commerce major also helped the Ridgebacks win the UIT Invitational and have top 3 finishes on the road throughout the rest of the season. The Trent Excalibur, your awards go to Tanner Cookson and Gwyn Carlos, who both awarded the Cup, the Varsity Cup, Trent University's most prestigious award for graduating students who have demonstrated outstanding contribution, sportsmanship, participation, and leadership in their athletic programs. Thank you very much to Ross Proudfoot and Ettore Lattanzio for joining the show. How to reach us? At OUA Today, at Marsh2Fergs. You can follow at Weldon Amanda if you like pictures of Australia, and you can follow at Scott1Hasty if you like pictures of random dogs that travel around in huge parks. We'll be back next Monday. Probably going to have a bonus podcast throughout the week, actually, where we're going to be live at the OUA Awards. So we'll get some interesting interviews there, talk to some people in the know from around the OUA. For right now, on the video podcast side, we're going to leave you with my video pick of the week. Everybody remembers Nebraska Jack Hoffman, the young boy who was battling cancer, who the Nebraska football team allowed to score a touchdown. Well, the Kansas Jayhawks decided to do the same thing, but it was with an 89-year-old former Jayhawk football player who ran for a touchdown at Kansas's alumni flag football game. The video is pretty awesome. It was actually sent out by McMaster Athletics Director Glenn Grunwald, and I hope you enjoy it. For everyone else, have a fantastic week, and we will talk to you next Monday.